Long time no see, buddy. I'm keeping that. That's the intro. It's been a long time since I have sat down and done just a little talking thing, so I figured we'd play a little game of catch up. And I'm gonna be upfront right up from the start. I am going to be talking about depression and mental health throughout this. So if that's something that you don't want to hear about or could potentially be triggering or anything like that, I would suggest just not watching this video. Not that I anticipate anybody to watch this video. Again, this YouTube channel has always just been for me. Like low-key hoping that someone watches it, but knowing that no one will watch it. Anyway. Why am I filming this now? I'm sad, basically. I think, like, with the warning, with how people who do YouTube work, like, yeah, obviously I'm sad. It's basically, this is a mixture of some things that happened in the fall, but also just some things about me that, and I will talk about both of those things. So I guess to start more recently, since I said we would play catch up, like to fill you guys in what's happened is I am fully on campus taking fully in-person classes, and I was on crew for a while, past tense. We'll get to that. But in the fall, before things could really even start kicking in, the team got suspended for hazing over a party that I wasn't invited to. Can you believe it? Basically what that means is in the fall, I wasn't really active in crew, so I was just focusing on school and actually socializing, because last year in the spring, I didn't really have that opportunity, being having taken online classes and with all the COVID restrictions, and obviously there are still COVID restrictions, they're just not as strict as they were in the spring. So basically in the fall, I was like cruising by. I was like fine for the most part. It kind of just felt like the spring, except I could have friends. But then the fall kicked in, and the team was no longer suspended, and so we were having practice, I was having classes, and it was just like a gradual escalation of things just becoming too much. And I think, honestly, the most upsetting part about the whole situation is how familiar it felt, because it felt like I was in high school again, stressed about school, feeling like I didn't have any choice in anything that I was doing, and just feeling like helpless, yeah. But it just was frustrating. More than I was stressed, more than I was generally overwhelmed, I guess. I was like frustrated that it felt like I hadn't made any progress. For context, I guess, I have been seeing a therapist since I was 11. I've been on antidepressants since I was 17, and like those things work for me. I know that might not be the case for every single person out there struggling with anything similar, but for me, those things worked. And for me to have gone years of being as okay as I've ever been my whole life to being honestly probably the worst, like even worse than when I was in high school or middle school, which I felt pathetic. I think that's really the only way to describe it, because there's that helplessness that I mentioned before, but also just like, man, have I not grown? Have I not learned? And it was just a lot of things that led up to it, but you know, it's when you finally spilled over the edge, it's never like something that feels worthy of being the thing to bring you over, you know? Like it's something small that was that like final drop that made everything spill over. And I don't even remember like why specifically it was that day, but one day after practice, I texted the coaches and was like, "Can I talk to you guys?" And they were like, "Yeah, we're in our office right now. Come as soon as you can." And I was like, "I guess we're doing it." And so I walked over to the rec center and I sat down in their office, and surprisingly, I didn't cry in front of them anyway, but I just told them how hard everything has been. And, after making sure I wasn't making like a rash decision, they were super understanding and, kind of like just let me go. Everything now makes it seem like it was a rash decision, but truly it was not. Like, if you've seen any of my older videos, like, I had never done rowing before coming to college. It was just an opportunity that I had, and I took it. And I knew it would be hard, but I was sorely underestimating the mental toll it would take on me. Not just because of like the time and stuff that I had to put into it, but because like being the coxswain, like I had to make sure that everyone was safe, but at the same time people were expecting me to like run practice and tell them how to row better as a team, and it was like, I don't know, I just got here. It was just generally really stressful, and I should have been more thoughtful about making the decision to join the team, but also because it's not something that I have like a passion for or anything, as nicely as I can put it. Like it's not something that I care about in the long term. And I was just giving so much up for it, besides like my mental health, I guess. Like I didn't have enough time to study or sleep or hang out with my friends. And it also dictated like when I could take classes. Like I have to fit in my classes within this time frame so I can keep this time open for practice. And I can't leave the city when I'm on co-op or over the summer because I have to stay for practice and for races. Like it felt like I was trapped in a bubble. And like I can totally understand that those are sacrifices that other people would be willing to make if it's something you really care about. But frankly, I'm not one of those people. And so I quit. Long story short, I quit. Wow. Took me 10 minutes to get to that point. Honestly, like, the reason why it took so long for me to get there is because part of me is still trying to justify that I left. Because it was hard to decide to actually do it. Because for a while, I was talking to my friends about it, and they're like, why don't you just leave? And there was just, like, so much guilt that I had, like, lingering back there, even though, like, realistically, I don't owe any of them anything. I wasn't doing it for my parents. I didn't know anybody on the team before joining it. I wasn't doing it for them. So it's hard to really convey why it is that I felt guilty. I guess part of it was that I do genuinely look up to the coaches. They're people that I respect. And I didn't want to disappoint, and I felt like I was disappointing them by leaving. At the end of the day, the reason why I did follow through with joining was because I wanted to take the opportunity to challenge myself and to grow. And I do think I did change a lot as a person in a good way. Like I learned a lot. But after a certain point, and mixing with who I already am as a person, it was just too much. And I'm glad that it happened. I'm also glad that it's not happening anymore. That's pretty much caught us up to right before spring break. And for spring break, I actually got to go home. Because of crew, I wouldn't have been able to go home. And I think that was much needed. given my mental state at the time. Like, my parents were also really glad that I came home, because leading up to that, to seeing them and to quitting the team, I was like calling them, like basically crying every night just because of everything. And I think it was good to get away from the city and campus, but also obviously to have like a little vacation for a little bit. And then 4 weeks ago now, as of when I'm filming this, I started my co-op. But I'm working for most of the day, and I'm only taking one class. So I really only have time now. Like, now now that I don't have to worry about like homework and stuff, like I get home and I'm just like, well, what now? And all I really have is time to think, which draws back to why I wanted to film this video. I quit the team and I'm still sad. What's up with that? I mean, like, especially being someone who has been diagnosed with clinical depression, like, I know that while leaving the team definitely helped my mental health, it's not a one and done solution. Nothing ever is. You know, some part of me was like hoping like things would be back to normal, I guess. Like, to whatever state I was in before joining the team, I guess, is what I was hoping. Yeah, so as far as I knew, that was the turning point, joining the team and getting stressed about that. And I thought that I would be able to find some sort of normalcy in myself. But obviously I didn't. That's how these things work. That's how life is. But now that I got like the biggest thing that was like hurting me out of the way, and I'm still hurting, it's like, what is there left to blame except for myself? And like, in a literal sense, I know that's exactly what it is. My brain is not making enough serotonin, and it never has. And that's why I've been like a pessimistic, shitty little kid my whole, like, since I was young, and to now I'm still pessimistic and shitty, but now I'm an adult. So I'm almost 20, and the roots of what I am are still there. Is that reassuring or depressing? I don't know. Anyways, I was saying, like, it's like, you know, the same way that there's not one solution to making me happy, there's not one cause that I'm sad, but it'd be easy if there was. It's hard to understand why I feel the way I do when I can't say it's because of this thing, you know? Well, actually, it's because you have a chemical imbalance, because you get anxious, because you isolate yourself and you don't talk to your friends when you should. It's because shit like that. It's all still a lot. Saying these things out loud is it's like really fucking weird, because I've written these things down, and I've certainly thought about them, but I've never really like said it out loud I've never said it out loud thinking someone might hear it. I talk to myself a lot, just with no camera. I just talk to myself a lot because I'm crazy. So I have said some things out loud, but like, knowing that I'm gonna edit this and post it feels different. This is what it must feel like to confide in a friend. This is not unique to me in any way, but you know, it's like, I am constantly feeling lonely, but in my loneliness, I only isolate myself more out of like anxiety and I don't know, like, just self-hatred. Like, I love self-sabotage, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, but I mean, there's like people that I could talk to. I could talk to friends or my mom or my siblings even, but I don't. And I think that ties back to that whole guilt thing that I was talking about with the coaches. I just feel guilty when people care about me. So it's easier if I just don't say anything. I guess this is my cry for help. I might start posting videos again, because I don't think there's any clearer cry for help than vlogging. So, welcome back, I guess.